Hi, boys and girls. Welcome back for chapters 9 and 10 from Magic Tree House number 22, Revolutionary War on Wednesday by Mary Pope Osborne. Before I start chapter 9, I want to let you know that I looked up this famous painting, and if Mom or Dad would help you, just look up famous picture painting of George Washington crossing the Delaware, and you can see it is at the Metropolitan Art Museum in New York City, and the painting is huge. It's framed in a gold frame, and it was painted in 1851, which is 75 years after George Washington actually crossed the Delaware. And I did not know, I learned a new fact. It said that our fifth president, James Monroe, was also on the boat. Now, I'm not sure which one he is in the famous painting, but it's just kind of interesting to look it up. So, that being said, when we finished, Jack and Annie had gotten what they needed to get in this story, something to send. And George Washington had then wished them a Merry Christmas, since this adventure was taking place on December 25th, Christmas Day. So, let's read chapter 9. And as Leo said, Jack and Annie time! Chapter 9, Flash. All aboard, one of the rowers called. Jack and Annie hurried down the steep riverbank. They climbed back into the boat. The crew pushed away from the shore. The boat started back through the icy, churning waters of the Delaware River. Jack was freezing in the sleet and snow, but he didn't worry about that now. He was thinking instead about how they'd helped George Washington. He was thinking about how they'd helped keep history on the right course. Jack felt great. When they got to the riverbank, Jack and Annie jumped out of the boat. "Thanks!" Jack yelled to the rowers. With the wind at their backs, Jack and Annie took off through the blizzard. They ran down the icy bank of the Delaware River. Thunder rumbled in the snowy sky. Lightning zigzagged over the woods. Ooh, good word, zigzagged. "How will we find the treehouse?" cried Annie. "I don't know," said Jack, "but don't worry, we'll find it." He felt very confident now, after meeting George Washington, after being thanked by George Washington. He and Annie ran on through the rain and snow and sleet. They ran along the riverbank until a bright flash of lightning lit up the sky. And then Jack saw it. The treehouse was directly to their left, high in a tall tree covered with snow. "Over there," he shouted. Jack and Annie ran toward the edge of the woods. In the dark, Jack looked up, searching for the treehouse. Lightning lit the woods again. Jack saw the rope ladder flapping wildly in the wind. He grabbed it. "Annie," he called. "Here," she said. "Let's go," he said. They climbed up the swaying ladder and scrambled into the treehouse. They were soaking wet and covered with slush and snow. Annie grabbed the Pennsylvania book. "I wish we could go there," she shouted. The wind blew even harder. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. Chapter 10. This peaceful place. Gray early light spilled into the treehouse. Birds sounded in the woods. The summer wind felt warm and gentle. Jack and Annie were wearing their nice, dry clothes again. "Oh, man," said Jack, "it's good to be home." "Yeah," said Annie, sighing, "back in this peaceful place." Jack pulled the captain's letter out of his pack. He turned it over. It was addressed to Molly and Ben Sanders, Apple Tree Farm, Frog Creek, Pennsylvania. "Molly and Ben lived on a farm near these woods over 200 years ago," said Jack. Annie gently reached out and touched the letter. "Your dad is going to make it home, kids. He misses you," Annie whispered, as if she could send comforting thoughts and words back through time. Jack carefully placed the special writing from the Revolutionary War next to the writing from the Civil War. "Look," said Annie. She picked up a note lying in the corner. It said simply, "Come back on Tuesday." Another message from Morgan, said Annie. Jack smiled. He pulled on his pack. See you on Tuesday, Treehouse, he said. He started down the rope ladder. Annie followed. In the early daylight, they ran through the Frog Creek woods. Then they ran down their street. They climbed onto their porch and rested against the railing. They looked out at the dawn sky. Jack remembered the whoosh of the cold wind on the Delaware. He remembered the hiss of the wet snow and the slosh of the icy waves. He remembered George Washington reading to his men. The harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph, Jack whispered. Those words are so true, said Annie. It was a hard conflict, and I feel kind of glorious right now, don't you? Jack laughed. Yeah, definitely, he said. Then he and Annie slipped into their quiet, peaceful, dry house. So, thank you for listening to Magic Tree House number 22, Revolutionary War on Wednesday by Mary Pope Osborne. And thanks again, Landon, for loaning these to us. So, before I close for today, how about if I put on my three-corner hat again? And it's always good to sing, especially on a rainy Friday. All right, here we go. My hat, it has three corners. Three corners has my hat. And had it not three corners, it would not be my hat. It has three corners. Three corners has my. And had it not three corners, it would not be my. It has corners. Corners has my. And had it not corners, it would not be my. It has my. And had it not, it would not be my. All right. Thanks, boys and girls. I hope you sang along with me. And let's do our president's song now. These are the presidents, the mighty, mighty presidents. Uh-huh, 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 uh-huh. Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe, Adams, Jackson, Van Buren, and we might as well say it, born in the USA. After the Revolutionary War and the United States was free of Britain. Harrison, Tyler, 15 kids, Polk, Taylor, Fillmore, Pierce, Buchanan, Lincoln, Johnson, Grant, Hayes, Garfield, Arthur, Cleveland. And I know I added a couple that I haven't read about yet. But boys and girls, keep practicing and have a great rest of the day. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time. Bye-bye.